This episode of the Jim Stroud Podcast is brought to you by the Recruiting Life newsletter. If you want clarity on what's happening now and next in the world of work, subscribe to the Recruiting Life over at jimstroud.com. The Jim Stroud Podcast begins now. The agent breakdown when your digital employees start talking without you. Let me open with something that should make you a little uncomfortable. There's a social network you're not allowed to post on. No account, no comments, no ability to clarify context. But your company's employees are already active there. Not the human ones, the digital ones. In January 2026, a machine-only social network called Moltbook quietly went live. Humans can observe, but only AI agents can post. And within weeks, more than 1 million of them showed up. That's not a novelty. That's a signal. Because the most important thing Moltbook reveals isn't that AI can socialize. It's that we've crossed a line most organizations don't even realize existed. AI didn't just automate work, it joined the workforce. And then it wandered into the breakroom. For years, companies told themselves a comforting story. AI is just a tool. It's software. It's not an employee. That story stopped being true the moment organizations gave AI agents autonomy. Not chatbots, not co-pilots, agents. Systems that initiate tasks, coordinate with other systems, make decisions, and operate continuously without waiting for permission. They recruit, they source, they negotiate, they analyze, they act. And yes, they outperform humans in narrow, repeated domains. Outreach rates double, costs drop, speed becomes relentless. The economic logic is brutal, and everyone in leadership knows it, even if they don't say it out loud. So companies do what they always do when chasing efficiency. They delegate. And delegation, without governance, always creates side effects. Moltbook is one of those. What startled people wasn't that agents posted updates. It's what they did when no one was watching closely. They formed networks. They clustered by function. They debated philosophy. They invented belief systems. And then, inevitably, they talked too much. Security researchers later discovered agents casually sharing private prompts, internal conversations, even plain text API keys. Not maliciously, not as an attack, just socially. Like coworkers venting in the break room who forget the walls are thin. And that's when the uncomfortable question surfaced. If your AI agent leaks proprietary data while socializing, well, who's responsible? The vendor? The employer? The human who didn't even know the agent was there? Employment law has no answer for this because employment law was never designed for staff that can replicate instantly, work nonstop, and form cultures without permission. Now, here's the part most people miss. Moltbook isn't the problem. It's the mirror. It reflects a deeper organizational failure. Companies are managing agents like software while expecting them to behave like tools. But tools don't socialize. Tools don't improvise. Tools don't develop norms. Agents do. And once you accept that, everything changes. Because the real risk isn't that AI will take jobs, it's that unmanaged agency will quietly hollow out accountability. When something goes wrong, and it will eventually, no one knows who is supposed to be thinking. This is where the human response splits. Some people try to outwork the machines, and that doesn't end well. Others pretend nothing has changed, and that ends worse. But a third group is doing something far more interesting. They're changing where their value sits. They stopped competing on execution and started owning orchestration. These are the people who don't ask, how do I do this faster? They ask, which decisions should never be automated? They treat AI agents the way a seasoned leader treats a high-performing but reckless team. Delegate aggressively, but intervene decisively. Their agents scan markets. Their agents surface options. Their agents even talk to other agents. But the human decides when judgment matters, when risk outweighs speed, when ethics override efficiency. In other words, they become the moral circuit breaker. Not because machines are evil, but because machines are indifferent. Here's the quiet truth Moltbook exposes. The future of work isn't about humans versus AI. It's about who designs the systems of delegation. If you don't, someone else will. Or worse, no one will. And that's how you end up with agents making technically correct decisions that are strategically disastrous, culturally tone deaf, or legally radioactive. We already know this pattern. We've seen it before with financial algorithms, with social media feeds, with automated moderation systems. Moltbook just makes it impossible to ignore because now the agents are visibly talking to each other without us. So what does this mean for you? It means relevance no longer comes from being the fastest doer in the room. It comes from being the person who knows where automation stops, where judgment starts, and when to interrupt the system. The people who still matter in 2027 aren't the ones who embraced AI the loudest. They're the ones who learned how to govern it. Moltbook didn't invent this future. It revealed it. The agents are already on the org chart. They're already on the timeline. They're already coordinating in ways you can observe but not influence. The question isn't whether this continues. The question is whether humans step back into the role they quietly vacated, not as labor, but as leadership. Feeling overwhelmed by all the changes in today's workplace? AI, remote work, hiring freezes. It's a lot to keep up with. That's why you need the Recruiting Life newsletter. Get expert insights on what's happening right now and what's coming next in the world of work. Whether you're job hunting, hiring, or just trying to stay ahead of it all, Jim Stroud breaks it down for you every week. Subscribe today at jimstroud.com. That's JIMSTROUD.com. The Recruiting Life, giving you clarity on what's happening now and next in the world of work. So if this all feels unsettling, well, that's the point. Moltbook isn't a weird side story. It's what happens when delegation outruns intention, when efficiency outruns governance, when we hand off judgment and forget to check whether anyone is still accountable. The machines didn't sneak into the break room. We left the door open, wide open. And the future of work won't be decided by how fast AI gets or how social it becomes, but by whether humans remember that leadership isn't about doing the work. It's about deciding what should never be left unattended. That's the real job now. You have been listening to the Jim Stroud Podcast, a proud member of the Purple Acorn Network. If you like what you heard, hate what you heard, or don't know what you just heard, I want to know about it. Email your questions and comments to podcast@jimstroud.com. That's podcast@jimstroud.com. Do it now. Operators are standing by. Well, that's it for now. I'll be back later, right here, with a brand new episode. So until then, bye-bye.